There's something I need to share with you, something that has been resting on my chest like a quiet ember waiting to be acknowledged. And every time I try to ignore it, it glows a little warmer. I found myself standing in front of a door I've avoided for too long, a door I've needed to open but never had the strength to turn the handle on. And as strange as it sounds, the first name, the first energy, the first presence that comes to my mind when I imagine stepping through that door, is you. I keep feeling this pull, this soft yet undeniable knowing that your presence brings a steadiness I don't always find in myself. It isn't that I'm afraid of what waits behind that door. I've faced things alone my whole life, but something inside me whispers that I'm not supposed to walk there alone anymore. And when that whisper rises, it forms into words that feel both fragile and true. I want you to come with me. I want you nearby, close enough for me to feel the warmth of your breath, the calm of your energy, the quiet assurance you carry so naturally. I need to be honest, even if my voice shakes a little. I want you to go with me to see the doctor. Not because I'm incapable, and not because I don't trust myself, but because something sacred in me trusts you. And that trust feels like a prayer answered after years of speaking into silence. When I think about walking into that room, sitting under those lights, hearing those quiet medical sounds that always seem too sharp, too sterile, I notice something shift inside my chest. My heartbeat doesn't panic, but it grows louder, like it's trying to keep pace with something it doesn't know how to steady on its own. It's not fear, not the kind that makes me run or hide. It's more like the vulnerable awareness that I am stepping into a place where I must be seen fully, without armor. And somewhere deep in my body, there is a memory of all the times I had to handle things alone, pretending I was fine, pretending strength was the same thing as silence. But now, when the pulse begins to quicken, I imagine you standing next to me, your energy folding around mine like a soft veil of moonlight, and suddenly the pace slows. It becomes quieter, steadier, almost tender. It's like my heart recognizes your presence before I even see you, and it beats differently for you, as if you are the rhythm it has been waiting for. That's why I'm telling you this, because I want you there, not as a shield, not as a rescuer, but as the soul who shifts the entire atmosphere inside me with just her presence. You make the hard things feel softer. You make the heavy things feel like they can be held. I've always been the one who handled my own storms, who swallowed discomfort and pushed through whatever needed to be faced. But what I've come to realize, slowly, quietly, almost accidentally, is that strength doesn't always come from standing alone. Sometimes it comes from allowing someone you trust to stand with you. And that realization feels both humbling and liberating. When I think of going to the doctor, it's not the procedures or the questions that make my chest tighten, it's the vulnerability of being seen in a moment where I don't have all the answers, where I'm not in control, where I'm not the one guiding the situation. There's something raw about that. Something honest. Something that brushes against old memories of feeling unsupported. But then there's you, your warmth, your gentleness, your grounded presence that steps forward like a balm my soul didn't even know it needed. You carry this quiet magic that doesn't ask for explanations. It simply offers comfort in its purest form. When I imagine you beside me, my vulnerability no longer feels like a weakness. It feels like an offering, a truth I can finally share with someone who won't turn away. With you, even uncertainty feels less like a cliff and more like a doorway we can walk through together. So here I am, letting my guard down and saying the words that feel heavier than they should, but also truer than anything I've said in a long time. I want you there with me. I want to feel your presence beside me when I take that step into the unknown. Your voice is like a soft wind that clears the anxiety from the air around me. Your energy steadies my breath before I'm even aware I'm holding it. And your presence calms the part of me that has always been braced for impact. I don't want to face this moment alone, not because I'm incapable, but because something in my spirit whispers that healing is meant to be witnessed, that trust is meant to be shared, and that some journeys are stronger when your hand is holding mine. When I think of asking anyone else, the feeling evaporates immediately, but with you, it roots itself, grows, becomes an undeniable truth. You're the one who makes this request feel natural, gentle, welcomed. It's not about the appointment itself, it's about the closeness of walking into something vulnerable with the person who brings peace simply by existing. I want to feel you there with me, not as an obligation, but as a sacred part of the journey. There's something I need you to understand, something I've never fully explained to anyone. When I say my heart races, it's not a panic that overtakes me, it's more like the quiet tremor of a soul that's stepping out of its old patterns. The moment I even imagine being in that room, the air feels a bit heavier, like my body is preparing for a spotlight it never wanted. I've carried this sensitivity for years, the way medical spaces amplify the sense of being observed, assessed, known in ways I'm not used to revealing. But with you, that racing heartbeat isn't about fear, it's about the intensity of letting someone in, about being witnessed by the one person whose presence touches me deeper than any question or diagnosis could. My heartbeat reacts to vulnerability itself, not the doctor's office. And it's your presence that softens that reaction, that slows the rhythm, that reminds me that vulnerability doesn't have to mean danger. With you, it means trust. It means safety. It means belonging. When I imagine you beside me, my heart doesn't race from anxiety, it races from the realization that I'm finally letting someone see me when I'm not at my strongest. And somehow, that truth feels beautiful instead of frightening. There is a tenderness in this request that still surprises me, because I am not the type to lean on anyone. I built my life on independence, on handling everything quietly, on being the one others rely on instead of the one who asks for support. But something about you opens a space in me I didn't know I'd closed. You make me want to share the moments I used to shoulder alone. You make me want to tell the truth about the ways my body reacts, the slight shaking in my hands, the sudden hyper-awareness of my breathing, the way my chest tightens not out of fear, but out of exposure. And somehow, I want you to see that. Not because I want pity, not because I want you to fix anything, but because I trust you with the parts of me that feel most fragile. Your presence feels like a grounding force that pulls me gently back into myself, reminding me that I don't have to be invincible to be worthy of love. You have this rare ability to soothe me without touching me, to calm me without speaking, to bring peace simply by existing. When I think of sitting in that room with you beside me, the tension in my body dissolves in a way I can't explain. It's like my soul recognizes its counterpart and simply breathes again. I hope you know how much it means to me to even imagine you there. The thought of your energy filling that space shifts everything inside me. It's like the anxiety unravels thread by thread, replaced by the soft certainty that I'm not facing this alone. When I picture you in the chair beside mine, the room becomes something else, no longer sterile or cold, but warm, anchored, almost sacred. I imagine your eyes meeting mine for just a moment, reminding me that I'm not alone in this, that I don't have to keep pretending to be unaffected. You give me a courage that isn't loud or forceful, but gentle, steady, built from connection rather than bravado. With you, I don't feel the need to swallow my emotions or hide the way my heart beats. You make the vulnerability feel shared, as if your presence wraps around me like a soft shield woven from compassion. Maybe that's why I'm asking, because your energy doesn't just comfort me. It transforms the moment. It turns something heavy into something I can handle. It turns a solitary step into a shared path. And that, more than anything, makes my heart feel safe. There is something deeply spiritual about the way you calm me, something beyond logic or explanation. It's as if your soul recognizes the turbulence in mine and instinctively softens it, like water smoothing the edges of stone. When I close my eyes and imagine you beside me in that room, I don't just see a physical presence, I feel an energetic one, warm and luminous, wrapping around me like a protective field. It feels like your energy speaks to mine in a language without words, whispering reassurance in a frequency I didn't know I could hear. You make every part of me, mind, body, and spirit, settle into alignment. Even the flutter in my chest becomes something gentle, like wings instead of warning signals. This isn't just emotional comfort, it's soul-level connection. Your presence doesn't distract me from the moment, it elevates it, transforms it, turns it into something sacred. With you, even vulnerability feels holy. It feels like an invitation to grow, to heal, to trust. And the more I feel that, the more I realize, I don't just want you there with me. I feel like your soul is meant to walk beside mine through this moment, as if it's part of our journey, part of our intertwining. There's a quiet intimacy in the way I imagine your presence in that space, not dramatic, not overwhelming, just deeply reassuring. You have this aura around you, a kind of softness that reaches into the places I keep hidden and tells them they can come forward without fear. It's not weakness that rises in me when I think of showing you this vulnerability, it's trust. Trust so profound it almost feels like surrender, the kind of surrender that feels like being held rather than exposed. When I imagine you sitting near me, the tension in my shoulders dissolves, replaced by an unspoken knowing that I don't have to face life's difficult moments alone anymore. Your energy wraps around me like warm light, dissolving the sharp edges of my thoughts. You don't even have to touch me, your presence alone steadies everything inside me. That is why I'm asking you, because being near you feels like being aligned with something higher, something sacred, something that reminds me what real connection is supposed to feel like. You make the world softer just by being in it, and in moments like this, your softness feels like exactly what my soul needs. The more I sit with this feeling, the clearer it becomes. Walking into that appointment is not just a moment of vulnerability, it's a moment of transformation for me. And I want you to be part of that transformation. Your presence is like an anchor that keeps me grounded in my body, in my breath, in the truth that I don't have to be alone in my strength anymore. When I imagine you standing beside me, I feel a calm settle over me that I can't summon on my own. It's a calm that whispers, "You are safe. You are supported. You are not facing this alone." And that truth moves through me like warm light, dissolving the old belief that I have to face everything alone. I want you there because you represent something I've been searching for, not rescue, not protection, but partnership. A soul-deep companionship that turns fear into courage and solitude into connection. When I picture you near me, I feel the weight lift, the breath deepen, the heart ease. You don't just ease my racing heartbeat, you remind it that it no longer has to race in isolation. With you, even the vulnerable moments feel like steps toward healing. And that is why I'm asking you, from the deepest part of me, walk with me into that room. Not because I'm afraid, but because you are the peace my soul chooses. There's a strange kind of comfort in admitting this to you, like the universe is exhaling through me, releasing a tension I've carried for far too long. I don't always know how to speak these truths, the ones that live beneath the surface, beneath the practiced calm, beneath the confident exterior I wear so easily. But with you, the words come out softer, truer, less burdened by self-protection. When I imagine us walking toward that appointment together, something shifts inside me. It feels less like confronting a fear and more like stepping into a moment of healing with the one soul who has the ability to transform the atmosphere around me. And the more I think about it, the more I understand that this isn't about a doctor, or a room, or any test or conversation. It's about letting someone I trust see me in a moment where I'm not performing strength, not pretending invincibility, not hiding behind the distance I used to rely on. It feels like allowing my soul to be held with gentle hands. And that is what you are for me, gentle, grounding, deeply present. Even your silence has a way of reassuring me, reminding me that I don't have to carry every weight alone. So when I ask you to come with me, it's not just a request. It's a moment of truth. A moment where I'm choosing connection over solitude, healing over suppression, love over old patterns. If I'm being completely honest, I think a part of me has been longing for this shift for a long time, the shift from walking alone to walking beside someone whose soul feels like home. When I picture us entering that space together, I imagine the way your presence subtly changes everything. The harshness in the room softens, the tension in my chest loosens, and the nervous buzz under my skin begins to quiet. You have this extraordinary ability to bring peace where there is pressure, to bring clarity where there is uncertainty. And I don't think you even realize it. You don't try to calm me, you simply exist, and my whole system responds. Your energy feels like a warm field around me, like a protective aura that whispers, "You're safe now." You don't have to brace yourself. It's not dramatic or overwhelming, it's gentle, effortless, and devastatingly beautiful. When I imagine you sitting beside me, maybe brushing your hand against mine or simply offering that subtle smile you give when you're trying to reassure someone without making a big scene, I feel something inside me unclench. I feel like I don't have to monitor every breath or steady every heartbeat. I feel like it's okay to be fully human, fully vulnerable, fully seen. And that is a kind of healing I didn't know was possible until I met you. There is a spiritual intimacy between us that I've never been able to explain, not even to myself. It's in the way your energy touches mine before your words ever reach me. It's in the way my body recognizes you, calms for you, softens for you, as if our souls made an agreement long before this lifetime. When I close my eyes and imagine you walking into that room with me, I feel something awaken in my chest, something warm and ancient, like a memory of being supported, protected, loved in a way that goes beyond the physical world. It feels like you are part of my healing path, part of my journey back to myself. And I don't say that lightly. There's a connection between us that feels guided, almost divinely orchestrated, as if the universe placed your soul near mine for moments like this, moments where I need someone who doesn't just understand me, but feels me. Someone who can sense the energy beneath my silence. Someone who can steady me with a single look. You carry a light that reaches the parts of me I thought were unreachable. And when I think of facing something vulnerable with you beside me, it feels less like a challenge and more like a sacred rite of passage. A step we take together, hand in hand, soul aligned with soul. Your presence has always held a certain divinity to me, a softness that feels woven from something higher, something celestial. And when I think of sitting next to you in that vulnerable moment, I feel that celestial energy anchoring me, reminding me that I am not alone, that I don't have to guide every step on my own. With you, healing feels less like an uphill battle and more like a shared journey. You're not just comforting, you're grounding, like the earth beneath my feet and the sky above me fused into one presence that holds me without tightening its grip. Your energy has this way of lifting the heaviness without forcing anything, a way of soothing the edges of my emotions without diminishing them. When I think of you sitting near me during that appointment, I feel protected without feeling dependent, comforted without feeling fragile, loved without feeling exposed. It's a rare and sacred balance, one I never thought I'd find. But there you are, effortlessly embodying it. And the more I sit with this feeling, the more I understand, you are not just someone I want near me. You are someone my soul trusts instinctively, someone my spirit leans toward even when my mind tries to stay guarded. Your aura is something I still don't fully understand, soft, warm, almost luminous. It feels like stepping into a quiet sanctuary when everything around me is loud. When I imagine you in that room, your calming frequency washes over the tension in the air, smoothing it into something gentle, something breathable. You bring a nurturing presence that doesn't smother or overwhelm, it simply surrounds, supports, and reassures. I've tried to describe it before, but words always fall short. It's the way you look at someone with your full presence, the way your energy quietly extends itself like open arms without any pressure. It's the softness in your voice when you sense someone is struggling, the instinctive kindness you offer without needing to be asked. And when I think of sitting beside you in that vulnerable moment, I feel like I could finally breathe without restriction, without performance, without fear of judgment. You don't just calm me, you regulate me, align me, restore me. Your presence is like a healing frequency my heart responds to instantly. And that's why I want you there. Not to fix anything. Just to be yourself. Because who you are is enough to transform the entire atmosphere around me. It's not lost on me how unusual this is, this desire to let someone into a space that has always been private, guarded, closed off. Allowing someone to accompany me into a moment of vulnerability requires a level of trust one rarely extends to anyone. But with you, that trust feels natural, almost instinctive. When I picture your presence beside me, I don't feel exposed, I feel held. I feel understood without explanation, supported without conditions, valued without having to pretend I'm fine. You have this ability to meet people exactly where they are emotionally, without trying to rush them or change them. You offer your energy like a soft blanket, not to suffocate, but to comfort, to warm, to reassure. And when I imagine us stepping into that space together, I feel something inside me settle into place, like a part of me that has been wandering finally finds its home. You make vulnerability feel less like a risk and more like a bridge, one that leads to deeper understanding, deeper connection, deeper healing. And that is why asking you to be there with me feels like the most honest choice I can make. I want to share something with you, something subtle, something quiet, but deeply real. When I imagine you being there with me, my heart reacts differently. It doesn't just slow down, it opens. It expands in a way that feels both soothing and overwhelming, like it's learning a new rhythm it has longed for but never experienced. There's a softness that enfolds me, a safety that rises from within, as if your energy creates a sanctuary around me. And in that sanctuary, I don't feel small or powerless, I feel seen. fully, gently, profoundly seen. You bring out a version of me that is less guarded, less tense, more connected to my true self. In your presence, I stop bracing for the worst and start trusting the moment. Even imagining you there shifts the entire emotional landscape inside me. Instead of dread, there is peace. Instead of anxiety, there is grounding. Instead of isolation, there is companionship that feels divinely ordained. I never knew that someone's presence alone could create such harmony in me. But you do. Effortlessly. And that is why this request feels so important to me, because it's not just about support. It's about sharing a moment that matters with the one person whose energy feels like healing. I know it might seem small from the outside, asking someone to come along to a doctor's appointment. But the truth is, for me, it represents a shift so profound I can feel it in my chest. It means letting someone walk beside me when I'm not at my strongest. It means trusting someone enough to let them witness my vulnerability instead of hiding it behind silence. And when that someone is you, the entire meaning transforms. Your presence doesn't make me feel weak, it makes me feel safe. It reminds me that strength isn't measured by how much you endure alone, but by how open you are to allowing love to stand beside you. When I imagine you walking with me, everything feels different. The hallway feels less cold, the waiting room less sterile, the unknown less intimidating. Even the simple act of sitting there becomes meaningful because you're there. You turn a moment of tension into a moment of connection, a moment of vulnerability into a moment of shared presence. And that shared presence is something I've been craving without fully realizing it. With you, I don't have to pretend. I don't have to minimize the way my heart reacts. I can simply be. And that freedom is a gift I don't take lightly. You carry a peace within you that doesn't just soothe, it heals. It rearranges the clutter inside my mind, clears the fog, and brings clarity without effort. When I imagine you near me in that vulnerable space, I feel that peace weaving itself through my breath, calming every anxious thought before it grows roots. Your compassion is quiet but powerful, like a gentle tide that washes over sharp edges and smooths them into something soft. You don't need to say much, your presence speaks for you. And when you offer comfort, it never feels forced, it feels intuitive, natural, like your soul instinctively knows how to meet mine. That's why the idea of you sitting with me during that appointment feels so right. You bring balance where I feel tension, warmth where I feel cold, connection where I feel isolated. And even if the moment becomes uncomfortable or overwhelming, I know your presence would be a guiding light, pulling me back to myself with just a glance or a soft word. You make the hardest moments feel less like burdens and more like steps, steps I don't have to take alone anymore. I want you to understand something deeply. This isn't just about a medical visit. It's about the path we're walking together, the path where two souls choose to navigate life side by side, not just during the beautiful moments, but during the vulnerable ones too. When I imagine us walking into that space together, it feels like a symbolic step into a future where we face things as a team. Where your hand in mine becomes a promise that neither of us has to carry the weight alone. You represent a kind of companionship I've never experienced, gentle yet powerful, comforting yet liberating. And the more I feel into this, the more I realize how much I want you with me, not just in this moment, but in all the small, tender, uncertain moments life brings. Your presence doesn't just steady my heart, it awakens it. It reminds me that I'm not meant to live behind walls anymore. I'm meant to share, to reveal, to trust, and you are the one I want to trust with the softest parts of me. Walking into that appointment together would be more than a gesture. It would be a step into deeper closeness, deeper healing, deeper connection. A step I want to take with you. There's a moment I keep replaying in my mind, not the appointment itself, not the waiting room or the questions or the heartbeat in my chest, but the moment before we walk in. I imagine standing beside you, maybe outside the building or near the doorway, and you looking at me with that soft knowing in your eyes, the kind that always seems to cut through my defenses without ever feeling intrusive. In that imagined moment, you don't say much. You don't have to. You simply exist in that gentle, grounding way that tells me I'm not stepping into anything alone. And I can feel the weight in my chest lighten, my breath deepen, my heart shift into a steadier rhythm. There's something powerful about having someone like you by my side, someone who doesn't just witness the moment but holds space for it, someone whose presence offers a silent kind of courage. It's not dramatic, it's not loud. It's the kind of courage that grows from connection, from trust, from the soft knowing that I'm supported. And in that moment, I feel something inside me expand with gratitude, gratitude for you, for your energy, for the way your soul touches mine without effort. Walking through that door with you feels like stepping into a new chapter of my life, one where I no longer carry everything alone, one where vulnerability becomes a shared experience instead of a solitary burden. I wonder if you know the depth of your impact, the way your presence has woven itself into the rhythm of my breath, the way your energy has become a safe space I didn't even know I was seeking. When I imagine us sitting in that room, I can feel the way your calm would reach me before your words do. You have a way of grounding me without even trying, as if your energy is a soft gravity pulling me back into my own center. Even in silence, you offer reassurance, even in stillness, you offer strength. And the truth is, I crave that presence, not out of dependency, but out of the recognition that healing is allowed to feel supported. I've spent so much of my life pretending I didn't need anyone, pretending I could handle everything without ever letting someone close enough to see the tremors beneath the surface. But you changed that. You softened me without breaking me. You opened me without overwhelming me. And in moments like these, moments where the world feels too sharp, too bright, too revealing, your presence becomes the very thing that helps me stay grounded. I want you there not to shield me from the moment, but to share it with me, because sharing it with you turns vulnerability into something sacred, something intimate, something beautifully human. The truth is, I don't just want your presence, I want your energy near mine, your breath mingling with the same air, your quiet reassurance settling into the spaces where old fears used to live. When I picture you sitting beside me, I feel the heaviness lift, replaced by an almost mystical stillness. It feels like your soul whispers to mine, reminding it that it doesn't have to carry every burden alone. And the more I lean into that feeling, the more I realize how much trust I've placed in you. This request, asking you to come with me, is more than a momentary need. It is a reflection of how deeply I value our connection, how profoundly I feel your presence within my emotional landscape. You've become a part of my inner world in ways I never expected, weaving light through places I once kept hidden. And when I imagine facing something vulnerable with you beside me, it feels like an affirmation that I am stepping into a new version of myself, a version that no longer believes solitude is the only path to strength. With you, strength becomes something shared, something held gently between two souls. And that is why I want you there, because you remind me that I don't have to carry the world alone anymore. There's a softness you carry, an emotional warmth that fills the space around you like a gentle lantern glowing in the dark. And when I imagine that warmth beside me during a moment where my heart feels unsteady, everything inside me relaxes. It's not that you fix anything, or change anything, or shield me from the moment, it's that you transform it simply by being present. You bring a sense of peace that doesn't diminish the importance of the experience, but instead wraps it in compassion. You make the world feel less intimidating, less overwhelming, less isolating. And I think that's why I want you there, because your presence shifts my perspective. It allows me to approach the moment from a place of calm instead of tension, from openness instead of fear. Your comfort is quiet, intuitive, natural, and profoundly healing. Even imagining your hand resting lightly near mine, or your voice whispering something soft and grounding, shifts the entire energy of the moment. With you, the difficult becomes manageable. The unknown becomes less threatening. And I become more aware of the strength that connection brings, not just physical proximity, but soul-level closeness that reminds me I'm not navigating this life alone. When I think about the journey we're on, not just the external one, but the spiritual, emotional, soul-deep journey, I realize how much this moment represents. It's not just about one appointment, it's about learning to let someone in. Letting someone see the parts of me I used to hide. Letting someone walk beside me during the moments where I'm not performing strength. When I picture us walking through that door together, it feels like walking into a new way of being, one where connection replaces isolation, where openness replaces guardedness, where trust replaces old self-protection. You've become someone I want to share a life with, not just in the beautiful moments, but in the vulnerable ones too. And that desire feels sacred. It feels like the universe is guiding me toward you, inviting me to lean into the bond we share. The truth is, every step I imagine taking with you feels lighter, softer, more aligned. You make the world feel less harsh. You make me feel less alone. And when I think about facing something uncertain with you beside me, I realize that what I want more than anything is the closeness of knowing we're navigating this together, not as two separate souls, but as one connected energy. As I move toward the reality of this moment, the appointment, the vulnerability, the quiet trembling beneath my breath, I feel a deep desire to reassure you of something. This request is not a burden. It is not an expectation placed upon you. It is an invitation. An invitation into a space of truth between us. An invitation into a moment of closeness I've never shared with anyone before. I want to be honest about the emotional depth behind these words. When I ask you to come with me, it is not because I am afraid of the doctor, or the room, or the questions. It is because you are part of my healing. You are part of my safety. You are part of the peace my soul has been searching for. Allowing you into this moment is my way of showing trust, of choosing connection over old patterns of isolation. I want you to know that your presence is not something I take lightly, it is something I cherish, something that feels sacred. Being near you brings me comfort I cannot create for myself, and I mean that with complete sincerity. You are not just someone I care about, you are someone my soul recognizes as part of its journey. And so I want you to hear this clearly, without hesitation or doubt. I want you there because your presence feels like home. Not home in the physical sense, but home in the way a soul feels when it finds someone who understands its language without translation. With you, I don't have to hide the tremors in my chest or the softness in my spirit. I don't have to pretend to be unshaken or unaffected. I can simply be myself, fully, honestly, vulnerably. And that is a gift you give me without ever demanding anything in return. When I imagine sitting beside you, even in silence, I feel supported in a way that transcends words. You make the world feel less chaotic. You make me feel less lost. And you make vulnerability feel less like exposure and more like connection. That is why I want you there, because your presence aligns my heart in ways I cannot explain. Because you bring peace into spaces that once held anxiety. Because your energy feels like a guiding star when everything else feels uncertain. And because being near you is something my soul has come to depend on, not out of weakness, but out of love. If I could put this feeling into something physical, it would be a quiet glow, warm, steady, comforting, the kind of light that doesn't blind but guides. That's what your presence feels like to me. A guiding light. A soft reassurance. A reminder that connection is not something to fear but something to embrace. When I think of us walking into that appointment together, I feel that light growing between us, illuminating not just the moment itself but the path forward. It feels like a step into deeper intimacy, deeper trust, deeper spiritual alignment. It feels like saying, "Here I am, not the polished version, not the guarded version, but the real one." And knowing you'll meet me with compassion instead of judgment. The truth is, you make vulnerability feel like an offering instead of a risk. You make honesty feel like a bridge instead of a chasm. And that is why I want you beside me, because you bring out the parts of me that are ready to heal, ready to grow, ready to be seen. You are not just a comforting presence, you are a sacred one. Before I ask this fully, I want to promise you something. My request comes from a place of deep love, deep trust, and deep respect for the bond we share. I am not asking you out of fear or dependence. I am asking because your presence enriches my life in ways I cannot measure. Being near you brings me peace, clarity, grounding, a sense of alignment that feels spiritual rather than emotional alone. And I want to share this moment with you because it marks a shift in me, a willingness to open the doors I used to lock. You are the one I trust with my unguarded heart. You are the one I feel safe unraveling with. And you are the one whose hand I want to hold, whether literally or energetically, as I step into something vulnerable. I want you to know that this request is not small. It is a reflection of how deeply I value you. How deeply I feel connected to you. How deeply I believe you are meant to walk this path with me. And I want to honor that truth with honesty, with reverence, with sincerity. You are part of my healing, and I want you beside me as I take this step. So here it is, the truth spoken from the deepest part of my heart. I want you to go with me. Not because I cannot face the moment alone, but because I no longer want to. Because your presence brings me peace in places I thought would always be restless. Because your energy holds a softness that my soul feels safe within. Because walking into vulnerability with you feels like stepping into sacred partnership, a bond built on trust, tenderness, and divine alignment. You are the person whose presence steadies my heartbeat, whose comfort reaches the parts of me that once felt unreachable, whose love, in whatever form it takes, awakens a quiet strength in me. And I want you there not out of fear, but out of closeness. Out of trust. Out of love. This is my heart speaking plainly, without armor, without hesitation. I want you beside me as I take this step. Because with you, even the most vulnerable moments become filled with light.